So let's explore some aggressive mech tactics with a light mech. And we've been exploring some of the kind of classic, iconic machines, looking at a lot of the bug mechs. And what you realize really, really fast as a light tonnage mech warrior, you can't get hit. You can't get hit at all. Maybe you can take one hit and you lost an arm. You really never have to worry about going to internals because you get hit, you just fall apart. Very rarely is something going to just really take that punishment and hit ammo or grind you down with arms blown off and your leg is damaged. They just don't have the armor bubbles based on how things transfer for that to reliably or always happen like we see with heavies and assaults. So as a light mech, I'm trying to stay far away. I am always moving. Before you even run the modifiers, I want you to be hitting me on 11s and 12s. If I am going to potentially close, I don't really want to do it alone. I want to have you dealing with my other kind of heavier machines or tanks and combined arms. And then I want to sneak around and get rear armor, get side armor. I want to recon. I want to skirmish. I want to take my Valkyrie, run to a position, fire off a bunch of long-range missiles, run to another position. But there are times, based on the mission, based on the battle value, or just because you have to go for tabletop glory, and I'm exempting an Irby from this, because Irby always goes to the tabletop glory, there are times where we have to aggressively engage not only other light mechs, but we have to aggressively engage other mediums and heavies. So let's look at a subclass of light mechs, and I'm going to offer two examples. Then I'm going to turn it over to you guys in the comments for some other potentially hidden gems, some potentially other mechs that we should be looking at that we can use aggressively. Yes, we could use a Locust aggressively, but configurations, we want to look for high damage weapons. High damage weapons that we find on quantity or quality on mediums to heavy type mechs. A perfect example is the Panther. Karita knows about the Panther. You have a PPC on a light mech. Now, we just don't have the tonnage for redundancy, right? One of the reasons why a Warhammer or a Marauder is so powerful is that you have two PPCs and potentially the ability, a little bit of heat management, but the ability to fire every single turn. That means two chances to hit. If you can keep your modifiers down in terms of walking and running versus the movement of your opponent, if you can close to medium range, you're hitting on 5, 6, 7s, or 8s, two shots, that's got bite. Now, we don't have that luxury on a light mech because we don't have the tonnage for redundancy, but to have a PPC, that is absolutely aggressive. Now, we're buying this in for a lower battle value, too. That's where you get more toys on the table. If you want to have the thrust of your force being aggressive, you could go with certain lights that will have the ability to fire at a higher level, that firepower equals, say, mediums, or maybe as a group, a certain lower tandem tonnage heavy mechs. But you don't have, of course, the armor and the sustainability. So we're looking at something like the Panther. The second mech, and of course I'm spacing on it right now, you guys will correct me, it's not the Mercury, it's that weird looking kind of mech with the hands underneath. I think it's the Hussar. It's got a large laser. It's got insane speed with a large laser. Not a PPC, but it's got 8 points of damage. A lot of primary weapons that you see on light mechs are medium lasers. We also see some light mechs that mount short-range missile packs that can put out, 2 SRM-6s. We see short-range missile pack type mechs that have that bite. Okay, how do we use these aggressively? Well, absolutely you're not going in solo. Absolutely not. And that's just kind of good tactics. If I'm playing my Warhammer, I love Warhammers, I love Marauders. They don't want to go in solo. You never want to send a mech in solo to engage. You can, and then recover if you have a heavier machine. You might be able to with mediums because they could take a couple of hits and you still got some speed. You can get out of there, but absolutely not with light mechs. So if you're going to play aggressive, if I'm going to take this Panther and utilize it aggressively, I need a little backup. I need some other things to be adding in those shots, either to help push out the threat bubble, or if I do take that first hit, that second hit, be able to withdraw and still have some firepower. So can we look at a primary aggressive light mech and one or two accompanying units to work with them? If I've got lower battle value, hovers are awesome. Hovers in Battletech, hover units, hovercraft, they're the secret weapon. They're the secret weapon in Battletech because vehicle battle value buy-in is much, much lower. Hovers are super fast. Now, motive and slippage and skidding, are essentially like a tank on a balloon. Back in the 80s, they all thought like the future is all going to be hover vehicles. That's what's going to happen. Everything's going to hover, everything's going to float, and we're not really going to have tanks anymore. And we're just going to have like this futuristic warfare. Battletech really took that narrative, that 80s narrative, which pushed it out and developed it. I guess we're still waiting for those mass hovercraft type units. But in the battle value buy-in, it's low. You get something extremely fast. And I'm not even talking like the Saladin with the AC-20, although that is a great example for the battle value buy-in. But you can get some of the medium hover tanks for light mech battle value buy-in. They're faster than light mechs. They've got the short-range missile packs. Think about that tactica. Attach two cheap hovers with short-range missiles. The Panther runs up, starts firing with the PPC, gets into position. When the other opposing mech or target locks to engage with it, rush up with your hovers for side or rear armor, point blank, SRM 4 and 6 packs. That's got some bite. This also leads into, if you're going to be aggressive with the light mechs that you select, the units working with them, the battle value can't be higher than the light mech, because then I might as well do something completely different. So if I'm going to take that Panther and I'm going to really leverage that PPC on the light mech because that's got bite, but then I'm like, you know what, let me throw in two mediums to work with it. Well, that completely changes the functionality. I should be leading with the mediums. So we want to look at smaller. We want to look at more aggressive. Now, I only have one weapon with that PPC. And again, we're just looking at the Panther. You guys will port over the Tactica to the mechs you're playing. The duality is I want to be as stable as possible and as not moving as possible. So I'd like to be at medium range, because if I don't hit you with the PPC, that aggression does nothing. So I'd like to be at medium range, and I'd like to not walk or run. I'm not moving. Now, we started this vlog, this Tactica, you need to be moving. So that means if I'm not moving, I need some cover. I need some, not only cover, but maybe I can have parts of my mech obscured just to take that aspect off. The elevation, maybe get my legs obscured, have a building or some terrain just totally eat that shot. What, if you're playing the more advanced rules, WYSIWYG, on the table, can I have half of my mech covered, the left side covered, because PPC's in the right? Can we utilize those aspects, and can I engage to take that shot? But it's hard to tell, because sometimes you still do want to keep on moving. It can be done. You can play a select class of light mechs very, very, very aggressive. And I'm not talking about the Locust Bomb that I always run. Locust Bomb, on a side note, and I pushed this vlog up to my channel, my continuing quest to be the most feared Locust pilot in the inner sphere, running, depending on the battle value, 4, 5, or 6 Locusts, the variant with the medium laser and 2 short-range missile 2-packs. I've got speed, I've got bite. I can put down 12 of these Locusts on the table. Usually I top out at 8, just on battle value, because you need to get other toys. You need to get other things within that list to play. It can be done, but only with select key certain light mechs.